Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode. You are looking at the thumbnail. You already know what time it is. It's time for us to talk about life book. All right. As promised, my life book is a white folder, and it's made up of wow, I'm not as prepared as I thought I'd be. It's made up of six categories, and these six categories are the categories that are important to me. It has taken me a total of 1 year to complete and fill out and do my life book according to the things that are important to me. And you don't have to use the categories that I use, but these are the categories that I use to help me accomplish and achieve the goals that I set for myself. A couple of things before you want before you start your life book are you need to understand first the style in which you accomplish your goals. Now, I know there are some people who could focus on multiple things at a time. Some people need extreme laser focus for just one thing at a time or a few things at a time. If you are new to personal development or goal setting, I recommend one to three things at a time for your goal setting. A lot of people find it very overwhelming if they have to focus on too many things, and they tend to just get stuck and not be able to move. I like to focus on the areas of my life that are the most important to me, that need the most help, that are not as automated as other areas. So things that might come more naturally to me, I might not give too much attention to as I would give the thing that might be either new or not as or that might be not as that I might not be as inclined to do naturally. So I focus on putting things in place, i.e., through my book and through some environmental changes in order to accomplish those goals a little bit easier. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the categories and how I place those categories in in my life book. The second thing is that you might be the type of person also that has never tried goal setting before. Therefore, you want to start with things that are tangible and easier to accomplish. Example, when I first started, I focused a lot on my wardrobe because I was going for a particular kind of, I don't want to use the word aesthetic, but a particular kind of look that made me feel a kind of way, and make me feel more like I was the type of person that I was trying to be. And so wardrobe came first. Now, wardrobe is not as important because I have been able to capsulize my wardrobe in a certain way that is more functional, and I can do wardrobe in itself, but there are so many videos on YouTube and on the internet that you can go check out. Maybe I'll link one of my favorites in the description box down below that you can go check out for yourself. I'm not sure if I want to do my own wardrobe video and how I curated my wardrobe, but that was definitely something that I started off with because it was so tangible and easy to do. Some people might want to start off with working out, like walking 1,000 miles and getting up to 2,000 miles. Anything that can help you to get into the routine of disciplining yourself is a good way to start actually getting into life book. Now, let's talk about categories. So I have, of course, wardrobe. I have family and relationship. I have a home, career, and travel list, health and well-being. Um, so the other thing that you want to take a look at is the way that you curate the things that are important to you. So for me, these were the categories that are important to me. You can either make subcategories if you have a family, you can make subcategories if you're looking to have a relationship or you want to get married or you want to find a partner. Subcategories need to suit the things that are interesting and important to you. In those subcategories, I have placed a couple of pictures. I'm just going to pull up a page here. Yeah, I also like have pictures as you can see here. My camera is not so clear, so I wasn't able to do any like live, but this is a picture of a place that I want to visit. You can see there's Australia. Well, I wanted to visit and so you have there like different scenes from Australia, some of the places that I want to check out while I'm there. And so yeah, I have pictures because I am a very visual person. But whatever works for you is a good way to start putting together and constructing your life book in a way that is inspirational to you. Doesn't have to look like mine. It doesn't have to look like other people's. It has to be what it has to be is inspirational and motivating for you. You don't want to look at your life book and think to yourself, I'm never going to be able to accomplish those things, or that seems way out of my reach, or that seems too hard or too difficult. The other thing about constructing a life book according to your capabilities and your likes and desires and dreams and goals is setting a timeline. There is a lot of controversy around timelining. Um, I like to do timelining according to things that I feel like I can accomplish, reasonable, realistic timelines, and coordinate it down to the finest minute detail. We are living in a time where every minute counts, and so you will find yourself either having to adjust your timeline or figuring out or readjusting or being a little bit more flexible, or something may come up that might set you back or push you into action immediately. And so for that, I like to have a 5 year timeline that I then break down into 62 months, I think. 5 times 60. My math is terrible. But yeah, you break down those into months, and those months are broken down into half a semi-annual calendar, and a semi-annual calendar is then broken up into weeks. And in those weeks, you can put those three goals, depending on how lofty they are, how big they are, into that timeline and fit them in and fit them into that category. Why this is important, like, let's talk about the wardrobe section. Wardrobe section was a very tangible, easy thing. I mean, it seems easy now, but back then it was very hard because there are many things that I had to consider while curating my wardrobe. But every time I would go shopping, I would get distracted by shiny things that I saw. This principle and formula you can apply to any area of your life book. But what I found myself doing is just constantly being distracted by things that looked shiny, that had nothing to do with the look that I was going for, and more to do with the fact that I just like that thing. So, so basically what you want to be able to do is to track your progress via calendar and make sure that your process is being tracked all the time and you stay on point with the things that you need and want. I know that's very difficult given the example of the whole shopping thing. I was distracted many a days, and staying consequential in my shopping was extremely hard because I always wanted to just pick up that shiny thing, but as the more I stuck with it, like with simple things like, okay, I need socks. Okay. Socks are important. I need really good thermal undergarments that I put underneath my sweaters that I can wear throughout the winter. Once I started to like be intentional about getting those things first and then getting the shiny new things later, I found my wardrobe to become way more functional and way more rewarding in terms of its usage than when I was just compulsively shopping and buying the new high heels that I always wanted and just ended up sitting in my closet. And so this principle actually can apply to your finances and your travel list. You might say you might have to give up something that you are always impulsively spending money on that's not reaping you rewards in the long term, and making the sacrifice in that habit in order to make sure that you are investing that money into traveling to a place you might have always wanted to go to. I give this example especially for things like coffee breaks or going out with friends on a whim, or spontaneous uh, eating out because you didn't cook. I compare it to those because those things, when they add up, like let's say you spend $20 a week on eating out, which is quite minimal, I think. I know people spend way more than that if you are willing to do the math and track it. you will find that you could invest that money over a period of 5 months, $500 towards a trip to a place that you have always wanted to go to, for example. And those little things you can, leading up to my next point, track. Spend the first month, which is what I did. I know I really wanted to start on my life book journey as soon as I was able to sit down and put it together, but I had to spend some time tracking the things that I really enjoy and the things that were blocking me from getting those things. So a part of that was, journaling and doing my journaling with my therapy, which I talk about in another video. But being able to track some of the things that needed to be rooted out of my life in order for me to focus on the things that I really wanted to do was one of the major research points that helped me to be on track with my life book. So spend some time looking at the things that you do and see if they're actually in alignment with the things that you want. If they are not, then you need to also incorporate a plan to slowly or quickly, if you can, exit out of those kinds of behaviors and things. The kind of behaviors and ways of being and habits, I guess. So, right. So after a month of tracking my lifestyle and seeing what needed to stop happening or what needed to start happening, I then began to make a calendar plan to easily implement certain things into my life book that would easily and slowly lead me into my goals. I was amazed. You guys, I almost did not even recognize myself. And I'm going to get into some of the aspects of Lifebook, things that I've done, the things that I've accomplished through Lifebook that I can't even begin to explain how proud I am of myself and the things that I've been able to do because I implemented these things. And it was a really incredible experience to be able to do things like go practice buchikan or learn how to play the guitar or any of the other things that I may have told myself, oh, I'm gonna do, but never really made a concrete plan to get it done. This holds me as my personal accountability partner to myself, that I just actually look at and remind myself this is what needs to be done. Now, the last thing I want to say, and maybe I'll do a part two, because I think that this is something that we really need to get a lot divulge very deep into, is that it doesn't have to make sense to anyone but you. It does, and it might not even make sense to you if you could. And this is how I designed the list, because there was a list that I then implemented into categories and then implemented into a timeline. If you could do anything you wanted to do, what would it be? If money wasn't an issue and you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? Write it down. No matter how big, crazy, stupid, unreasonable, wild, weird it may seem, what it is that you would do if you couldn't lose and money wasn't an issue. Write those things down, and that was the way I actually started to model my life book. I made a list. I put the list in a category from most possible to least possible. And I slowly started to see the things happen based on a plan of implementation of putting those things in place. Now, how did I do that if money is always an issue? And oops, money is definitely an issue in my case. Like, I don't have an unlimited amount of funds yet. But I definitely started to make my money work more for me in the areas that I think are of more value, and stopped wasting it in other areas that are not of value by being constantly reminded of, hey, this is what you want to do. This is the direction in which you want to go. I'm so sorry that my fingernails are disgusting. Uh, and always making sure that I was constantly moving in that direction instead of in another direction. And that might mean eliminating distractions. It might mean being consequential. It might mean sacrificing. For you, you have to make the plan to figure out exactly what it's going to take for you to have the life that you want. So I'll see you in the next video. Let's talk a little bit more about Lifebook. Tell me if you're interested in this content, like and subscribe, and if you can, stay safe and stay free.